right, greetings. Welcome in. It's Bettor's Last Stand, show number 85, coming to you from the Pine Room Studios, downtown Wheeling. Matt here, flying solo once again. I have Sam coming up in the third part of the program. We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, playoff hockey and basketball in full swing right now. Baseball heating up. Pirates continue their struggles, and we'll talk about that with Sam, and you'll get my opinion on that once again, whether you like it or not. Then we'll talk a little soccer, a little bit of golf, Aussie rules, and then obviously the Kentucky Derby, which a lot of people are focusing on this week, myself included. So let's have a good show. Let's recap last week. We were up about 5 units. Actually, it was exactly 5. 5 on the button last week, not counting the golf. The golf was a team event. I didn't play a whole lot. I played those ones that I had, but for lesser unit size than I normally would do. So put that one in the book. The Zurich Classic. Geez, sorry, it was so bad I don't even remember the name of it. Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry. We'll give Lowry the credit. He led that twosome to victory. It was definitely not Rory McIlroy. And you know what? It just kind of sums up Rory McIlroy. He could probably win as a teammate of somebody, but he's probably not ever going to win his on his own. So put that one in the books. I'll get you a few plays this week for the Byron Nelson, which is one of the bigger tournaments down in Texas. But 5 units up on the week. We were 8-5 in the AFL. We were 2-3 in the EPL, 3-3 in NASCAR, 1-1 in the IndyCar. Sam had a nice hit with Noah Gragson in the top 10, which is plus 550. Had a couple other nice top 10s in NASCAR, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, and Kyle Busch. So good stuff there. Hockey playoffs raging on right now. And, the Toronto Maple Leafs live to see another day. The bad performance last night by Boston, loses 2-1. At home to the Leafs. Strange game. Not a lot of shots for Boston early in the game. Leafs make a goaltending change, kind of sparked them a tad. And you had a interesting result there. So they'll head to Toronto for Game 6 and see if the Bruins can't put them away there. I would imagine that they can, because Toronto, I was talking to somebody about this earlier in the week, they're better on the road. They are better on the road than they are at home. The pressure at home is so high. Where there's stupid, snobby fans. Almost everybody in that building never saw them win anything before. Toronto Maple Leafs have never won anything in my entire lifetime, in most people's lifetime. And if you were around for it, things have long changed. There wasn't 6 teams there's not 6 teams in the league anymore. So I don't understand the whole arrogance of them. They remind me of Texas A&M football and a few other examples out there that never win anything, but they act like they're some prestigious franchise or school or whatever. But anyway, Boston and Toronto on to Game 6. The Carolina Hurricanes put away the Islanders. That was just basically a prolonged misery for the Islanders, who just don't really have the team to be able to beat Carolina. Colorado storms back against the Jets. Now, I'll tell you this, our hockey futures are not looking very good right now. We're in a mess. A lot of it because of bad picks, which I'll be the first to say, bad picks, and then a little bit of it just some really, really terrible luck, which we'll get into in the bad beats segment. Nashville comes to mind, just horrendous. And in Tampa, I thought they kind of got shafted. I'm not sure they've been able to beat Florida, but I think we could have covered that game spread that we gave out as one of our playoff picks. But I thought the Lightning really got a raw deal on a couple of disallowed goals the other night, which basically buried and finished them off. But, it's tricky to call these, but none of the stuff really surprises me. So Predators and Canucks will now go to Game 6. Canucks lead 3-2 there. Avalanche finished off the Jets, as I said. The Islanders are finished off by the Hurricanes. We had Golden Knights and Stars will be playing Game 5, probably Game 7 by the time you hear this. Game 6 by the time you hear this. And then Kings and Oilers, that series may be finished by the time that you hear this. The Game 7 for Boston and Toronto would be, I believe, on Thursday. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's Game 6. Game 6 is Thursday. Jeez, I'm all confused. Game 6 is Thursday, and then Game 7 for that series would be on Saturday. So we look at some of the teams that have advanced so far. Obviously, Florida, pretty strong team. They were a team we were on all year, and then we got off of them late, which I should have just stuck with my gun on that one. I still had them a little bit in some futures from way, way, way back, and then the Rangers beat the Capitals, who just could not score. I thought they played good enough to win a couple of those games, but I wasn't impressed with the Rangers at all. So we'll see what shakes out there. as we head into the third weekend of the NHL playoffs. So good stuff. A lot better to watch than the NBA, except I will hit on this one. It was one of the bad beats. Predators and Canucks on Sunday. If you saw this one and you had it, if you had the Canucks in over, you were ecstatic for this result. If you had the Predators in under, as I did, you were miserable. Predators led 3-1, 2:49 remaining in the game. Canucks scored twice with the goalie pulled. Nashville misses that. Scoring twice with the goalie pulled is one thing, but after the first goal, Nashville had an absolute ample opportunity where they were almost, I would say, the top of the circle in the attacking end, and the guy, like, he could have come onto his forehand, but he tried to stab it with his backhand, and it hit off the inside of the post. And I said to a few people that I was watching with, this is going to cost me. I guarantee it. Here we go. Canucks go down. They score with 6 seconds left, tie the game. And, of course, I knew they were going to win in overtime. So I did at least come back and bet them a little bit in overtime to win the game. And they score a minute, 2 seconds into the game. So just to recap, 3-1 lead, pull the goalie, score an empty netter, miss an empty netter. Canucks score another empty netter. Tied at 3, end of regulation. So it puts the game over the 5.5. And then, of course, if you had the Preds to actually money line, puck line, all that stuff, you're just totally screwed there. So it was not fun. And as we said, Vancouver goes on in overtime and wins that one. Just one of those ones that just will stick with you for a while. That's one of the worst ones that I've had in some time. But hey, what are you going to do? 22-14 the favorites are in the NHL playoffs so far. 19-17 won to the over so far in the playoffs. A little bit more of a propensity for overs here so far early on in the NHL playoffs. NBA playoffs, I don't watch a lot of this stuff, but I did turn the game on Saturday briefly. It was the Pelicans and Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know I beat on the NBA quite a bit, and I don't want to, but it's just the truth is what I'm seeing, because I used to love the NBA. I used to watch every game. I used to love the Knicks. I just watched and watched. It was my favorite, probably arguably my favorite sport when I was a kid. But it is absolute trash now, and it stuns me how many people in the sports media tell the listeners how great it is. This is the best it's ever been. Best scoring, best athletes, but I don't even know what constitutes the best athletes. Does that mean they can run and jump the highest or dunk the hardest? Because to me, if you're going to ask me to pick between a basketball player and an athlete, I'm picking the basketball player. Larry Bird was a basketball player. You can name 1,000 other guys who were basketball players, and they happened to be pretty decent athletes. And the fact that they were such great basketball players made up for any deficiencies they had. Plus, these guys didn't have the training regimens and all the things these guys have today. I can't imagine how good the players would have been back in the day when they actually cared about the game, studied the game, watched the game, learned how to play the game. They don't do that now, and nobody can defend that to me. I'm sorry. I'll never think this sport is good until it changes to be good again. It's really, really bad. But anyway, I watched it for about 2 minutes. All I saw was bricked three-pointers, and not one guy broke into anything more than a trot. It was horrific. If you turn that on for a person who just came off a spacecraft, if it was a human or it was somebody from another planet, and you showed that to them, they would fall asleep or they would say, "I turn this off. I don't even know what this is." It was that bad. And then on the contrary, I'll give it a little bit of credit. The crowd environment at the Dallas game on Sunday was pretty neat. They made that storming comeback. I just happened to have it on at a bar I was at. Surely would not have been turned on by my own accord, but it was there, and it was pretty a lively environment, so I'll give you that. And James Harden did make a couple of nice individual plays, which were very tough shots, and I'll give him credit for that. But the product is pathetic. It is absolutely horrible. There's too many teams, and there's not enough good players. So the NBA, my God, if you could watch that stuff, and the series show. I mean, these series are lopsided. They're bad. The gameplay is so poor. I want to say the coaching's poor, and in most cases it is. But these teams just blow these games. Just for instance, another bad beat. Knicks up 6 last night with 29 seconds left in the game. Josh Hart misses a free throw. But again, these teams, everybody in the NBA shoots these ridiculous three-pointers. So you know they're coming. So I just still don't understand why teams don't foul when they're up 6 or when they're up 3, and they try to negate the opportunity for the other team to tie the game with a three-pointer. I can't conceive that. It's really hard for me to understand. So again, Knicks up 6, 29 seconds. Guess what? 2 3-pointers by the fucking 76ers. Tyrese Maxey hits a 35-footer, put the game in overtime. 76ers win 112-106. Maxey had 46 in the game, not taking anything away from him, but should have never been in that position. Guy can't make a free throw. Surprise, surprise. And then that happens. And then back to the not fouling. Pacers were up 3 the other night, Friday. They ended up not costing them, but up 3 late. Milwaukee gets it. Instead of fouling and putting a guy at the line, oh no, we'll let's just let him shoot a 3. And people say, oh well, you can't foul them because then if you make one and miss one, then they can win the game. And it's like, well, okay, but you're professional athletes. If you can't block out on a free throw to win the game, you shouldn't even be on the team. Just absurd. So NBA just sickens me every day. I hate even talking about it. But favorites 23-13 so far, 19-17 ATS, 21-15 to the under so far. In the NBA playoffs, the Byron Nelson, we used to be the Byron Nelson Classic, but we're calling it the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. Don't know what that is. I thought the CJ Cup was something they played in the on the European tour, but I guess not. Not a whole lot of opinions here. Went through some of the old data that I had on this tournament and to see some of the guys who contended. Jason Day was a guy that kind of stuck out, but I'm still not sure his games where he can win yet. So I'm a little hesitant on that. Again, check them out, BLS_PRP on X or Twitter to follow the picks that I eventually go with here. Leaning Jason Day, Alex Noren, another guy that I'm leaning towards. Ben On, which is basically spelled Byung Hunan, like Hunan beef. So Byung Hunan, or Ben On as he is called. Siwoo Kim at 16-1. Ben On was at 26-1. Day 20-1. Alex Noren 25-1. Those are some guys I thought maybe had a shot. Longer shots. Justin Lauer, I like his game for this course a little bit. He's played all right here. And Seamus Power, who's actually been playing pretty well lately. He's at 55-1. So not a whole lot in golf. Really tough to get up for these events. This having a live tour right now has really, really hurt the PGA, and not enough people talk about it because it's pretty bad. Pretty bad right now. All right, on to baseball. We got day baseball going on right here as I'm taping the show. Pirates down again, 2-0 right now. Bottom of the fourth to the lowly Athletics of Oakland with an attendance of about 3,000 people. The last 2 nights, and this is the third game, and the Pirates are staring down the barrel of a sweep here, which is just, demoralizing for them. They're already really, really terrible, and now it's just getting even worse. Their players look checked out already. It's usually not good by May 1st to be completely disassociated or disinterested in the team, in the game. They look like they can't hit. They know it. They can't pitch. They know it. Nothing's going to ever work their way. So race to 20. You talk about another bad beat here. So the race to 20, it's kind of a new hot market. People are putting it up at various books across the country and the world. It's the first team to 20 victories, or you have some markets that say March and April, whoever has the most wins during those, because it starts at the tail end of March and it goes to obviously April 30th. So either way you look at it, market pretty much the most wins in that time period. So the Orioles, first to 20 wins. So Craig Kimbrell's blown 3 saves. And not to mention, he blew 2 over the weekend. And the Orioles got their 19th win last night. And the Philadelphia Phillies beat everybody to the punch because it looked like it was going to be Cleveland. New York Yankees had a shot at it. The Braves, of course. The Dodgers, of course. A bunch of them got stuck on 19. The Braves had some rainouts, which hurt them. They probably would have got there. But they kind of didn't play great in the last week. And the Phillies came on really hot and are playing really well right now. So I tell you, it can be tough. If you had the Orioles or some of those other teams, I mean, you're just like, oh my God, it's like a gut punch. Several people rooting in Cleveland. That didn't get there either. So that one stings a little bit. And looking back at the Orioles, some of the games that they've lost, they lost 2 or 3 to the A's, 2 or 3 to the Pirates. I mean, once the Orioles get a little bit more stabilized, they're going to start separating themselves in the AL East, because I said this before, and I'm not being biased. I promise you this. They're better than the Yankees. They're better than the Blue Jays. The Rays are terrible. The Red Sox can't hit. The Red Sox pitching has been very, very good, so you got to give them credit there. And I like the Red Sox too. So I'm definitely not being biased. I'm telling you, I watch the games, and the Orioles are so much better than the Yankees. The only thing the Yankees have an advantage over Baltimore in is probably the depth of the bullpen. Orioles got to get a couple things worked out there. Their arms, they're running their arms ragged already. I mean, you got guys having to get used 2 nights in a row, which shouldn't even be an issue, but then they shut them down for 3 days. And, we got CNL Perez in there, and, Tyler Wells is going to end up being a big bullpen part of the bullpen. And not that these guys can't do the job, but their roles have changed a lot. And Danny Colom's done great, but Kimbrel's a problem. Not having Bautista is a problem. They got to get another arm. I don't know what they can find or how they can get anybody else, but they've got to try to figure that out along with getting another starter. But you get John Means back, and you're supposed to get Kyle Bradish back here soon, so let's hope their elbows hold up. But MLB-wise, it's kind of – I was looking through these the other day, and I really could only find 5 teams that I thought could win the World Series, and that's bad. Like, it's really – and I was, like, scraping, like, to try to find a 6th, and I kept going, and I'm like, geez, I don't think this team could win. Like, as they're currently constructed, I think I ended up coming up with 3 in each league. So here I'll tell you who they were. So the 3 teams that I thought have a legitimate chance at the World Series – in their current form. Dodgers, 3.5 to 1. Obviously, they're going to have a chance. The Braves, plus 370, 4 to 1 range, maybe even a little bit lower some places. They obviously have a chance. Both those teams, very good. I didn't understand the third choice here, the Yankees. I will tell you this right now, and I feel really confident saying this. The Yankees have 0 chance of winning the World Series. 0. First of all, they couldn't even make it to the ALCS. They're not good. They have 2 good hitters and a bunch of average starting pitchers and a decent bullpen. Their bottom of their lineup is pathetic. It's pathetic. Turn their games on and tell me that I'm not right there. Baltimore, 10 to 1, ridiculous price for them. They have an absolute chance. They add a couple pieces at the deadline. They are the major contender and favorite in the American League without question. Philadelphia Phillies, they definitely do. They play good baseball down the stretch. They got to get their bullpen in order, but Phillies will be in the postseason. I would feel pretty comfortable saying that. So I give the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Phillies a chance in the National League. The Orioles and the next 2 teams, Texas, obviously, very good team. They won it last year. They are just as good. They're going to get some pitching back. They're good enough to be able to win. As long as they get in, they're going to win. The Mariners was the other team in the American League that I came up with that I thought had a shot. I think the Mariners at 14 to 1, they need to add a bat. They could add one more arm, but I think they're good enough to win. And so I went with them, the Orioles, and the Rangers in the American League. And then in the National League, as I said, it was the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Phillies, but I also did get to a 7th because I can't discredit the Diamondbacks, who are a good team. They're built well. They prove they got a manager that can manage in the postseason. So I would put the Diamondbacks as the 7th team right now. I don't have anybody else. Cleveland, they won't hit enough to be able to do it. Some of these odds are laughable. The Astros are buried in last place. I guess I can not completely discredit them or say that they're out of it, but at this point, the team, as I guess I would say if they add pieces, but as they're assembled now, there's no chance in the world I can count on the Astros or how they're playing in the form that they're in now. Toronto Blue Jays is laughable. Milwaukee Brewers laughable. Tampa Bay Rays 45 to 1. Are you kidding me? It should be 450 to 1. Cincinnati Reds actually intrigued me a little bit. 55 to 1. It's not high enough price though to make a move because they actually do have a pretty young, talented team. They got to get some of their arms sorted out, but. Baseball is basically a 6-7 horse race right now. Teams like the Mets, the Cubs, teams have less than 0% chance to win the World Series or even make to the World Series. So that's kind of where I stand on baseball right now. You have some teams who are outperforming themselves. The A's, one of those, definitely. Kansas City Royals, a team I'm high on. I think they can win that division. I really, really do. They're 18-13, just 2 games out. And I think they're probably the best team in that. The Guardians have played well, though, so I won't knock them. AL West, pretty good division. Seattle, Texas, and eventually Houston will get going there. A's are playing better than their record. AL East, Baltimore's going to win the AL East probably by at least 5 games. It might be more than that. Toronto cannot hit. Tampa Bay is awful. Boston, like I said, can't hit. Yankees are just not a very good team. They're just simply not. So that's going to be a landslide winner there for the Orioles in the AL East. Central is going to be between 2 teams. I don't really give Detroit a chance to hang around. I think Kansas City's better than them. I think Cleveland's better than them. West, we Seattle or Texas. I feel good about that. Houston won't be able to probably win that division now, but they'll definitely still make the playoffs. In the East, in the National League, Braves and Phillies, 2-horse race. Nationals will probably be the third-place team in that. To me, they're by far the third-best team. The Mets are not very good. The Marlins are atrocious. The Central, really bad division. Brewers playing solid right now, but they can't hit. They still show the signs that they had last year, getting shut out at home and so on and so forth. Can't trust them. Cincinnati's intriguing, though, like I said. Think they could get hot. Cardinals have disappointed. Pirates, exactly what we already knew they were. Dodgers in the West, they'll win that division easily. It'll be between the Giants, Padres, and D-backs for second. Giants they can't hit. Again, the Giants can't hit. Can the Padres get their bats going and all? Diamondbacks will probably be the one that rises up there, and the Rockies are a laughing stock. So that's the baseball rundown right now. As I said, Orioles 20 to 20 wins, or whoever you had to 20 wins, was a tough beat there for whoever had those out there. That one's a tough one to swallow. But we got a long season left as these teams have only played, I don't even know. How many games did they play? 30 maybe? Let's see. Orioles played 29. Yankees played 31. So, yeah, around 30 games. So, plenty more baseball to come. We'll talk more about that with Sam in a little bit later. And obviously continue to give you out things throughout the season that we like from a futures standpoint. BLS_PRP. You can check out all the picks. We're going to take a break right now. Come back in the second segment. Talk a little soccer. Going to hit on some English Premier League really fast. Just tell you about the title chase there. Champions League going on right now. Got some Champions League tickets alive here that we gave out on the show weeks and weeks and weeks ago. We're looking pretty strong. And then a little Aussie rules, and then we'll dive into the Kentucky Derby before we have Sam the Man on. It's the 85th edition of Bettor's Last Stand from the Pine Room Studios. We'll be right back.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in. Jeez, I almost said Pine Room on the Watchdog again. Welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand, show number 85, Pine Room Studios here as we head into Kentucky Derby week. We're going to hit on the Derby here momentarily, but a couple other things going on in the sports betting world right now. More on the Ohtani scandal. This just came out the other day. So it appears that there was a series of $500,000 payments from Ippei Mizuhara, the former translator of Shohei Ohtani, sent from Ohtani's bank account to the illegal bookmakers. And those were actually forwarded on to California and Las Vegas casinos, where the money was deposited into gambling accounts, converted into playing chips, and later cashed out to pay the bookie. According to multiple sources, the illegal bookmaker lost nearly $8 million at Resorts World in Las Vegas. The property is now at the center of the federal investigation after one of its original leadership group members, Scott Sabilla, pled guilty back in 2011, failing to report similar suspicious incidents with an illegal bookmaker. His guy's name was Wayne Nix, who ironically was tied to LeBron. Wayne Nix, when he was the head of MGM, that was when Sabella was the head of MGM. Wayne Nix, the illegal bookmaker. Nix had ties to LeBron's longtime friend Maverick Carter. So, again, there's more to this story, and we're going to find out, hopefully, because Ohtani, this just doesn't look good on so many levels. Something's up here, and now you got major federal interest in this now because there's Title 31 regulations. If you're not familiar with them, you have to report suspicious activity to the federal government. There are so many rules that we live by when you operate in a casino, and a lot of it's anti-money laundering. It's to protect people. There's a lot of sketchy people that come in and out of these places and try to launder funds, and when you have a guy that's tied to doing that in the past, and then you have this bookmaker now showing up at another one of his properties, that's alarming, and that also means there could have been some, this is the way we kind of mask the gambling of some of these pro athletes. And I mean, these people will do whatever they got to do to make the money they need to make and get to where they need to go. So there's more to this, and I just don't think Ohtani said enough to be considered exonerated here. So keep an eye on that as more comes out. Tyson and Paul, that fight is now sanctioned. It's a pro fight. We can offer it now over at the Wheeling Island Hotel Casino Racetrack Sportsbook. You can come over there and bet that fight now. Have it on as well. Tyson plus 150. Paul minus 180. That is on July the 20th. Is a Texas governing board sanctioned the fight, making it a professional fight, therefore letting us offer it in our jurisdiction, at least for the time being, unless there's any funny business. We don't know. West Virginia Lottery has approved it at this point, so we shall see. Nevada books suffered a little bit of a dip in March. A lot of those favorites in March Madness really hurt a lot of books, including ours a little bit. They netted $29.8 million, which is awesome, but that's a 32% decrease from 2023. So usually March, a lot better month for the books. The draft is now concluded in the NFL. Falcons with the crazy pick of Michael Penix, 6 quarterbacks in the first round. I actually had a pretty decent draft bet. I think I made like 6 bets. I think I went 4-2. I did bet the quarterbacks over the 4.5. So that was a good one. I didn't feel comfortable enough really telling anybody about like putting that out there because I really don't know anything. But I do know the Falcons really screwed up. I don't know what they're thinking. But a bettor at Caesars in Tennessee made a $100 bet for the Falcons to draft a quarterback in the first round at pick number 8. 100-1, and it cashes when Penix. Now, you had to be like, oh, geez, this is a coaster when they signed Kirk Cousins. Well, no, it wasn't. You won $10K. So pretty good stuff there. If you want some more draft breakdown and analysis, we had our buddy Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports Mike Florio. He's joined us in this very studio. He's sat in this chair. Been on the radio with us several times, been in the studio with us several times. We thank Mike for taking time out of his really busy schedule as he's winding down from the draft, getting all his stuff ready for the finalizing free agency stuff and then getting ready, maybe a little bit of a rest for him before he gets into training camp stuff. But hopefully we'll have that up. Joe will probably get that up. We taped it on the radio the other day, so if you missed that one on the Watchdog, you can listen to it hopefully at the Pine Room Studios on our YouTube page. You can also find us at the Pine Room Studios all over social media. North Atlantic Beer Mile comes up this weekend. When you listen to the show, it'll be tomorrow, Saturday, May the 4th. Got a lot of things going on over there. Hopefully the weather holds off. Going to have a Kentucky Derby watch party afterwards. Cinco de Mayo party. Bands and vendors and food and games and gambling and all kind of stuff. And then obviously the race itself. Chugging the beers every quarter mile. Should make for a good day. So get on over to Waterfront Hall. It's the kickoff of Waterfront Fest. Kicks off the festival season here in Wheeling. Don't want to miss that one. You can register your team today at the waterfronthall.com. You can find the link on there and sign up immediately. So pretty good stuff. Right now the Bears are the most bet team for the Super Bowl at 40-1. So lots of interesting ongoings there in the NFL. See what happens the rest of the spring and summer. All right, quickly running down some Aussie rules right now. This is Thursday's game. Probably will miss this one, but anyway, this is an over bet for me with Port Adelaide and Adelaide, a Battle of Adelaide. Sam Powell-Pepper's out for Port Adelaide and one of their top defenders. Allardo is out, but I'm going to go over 173.5 in that one. I don't like a side in that one. Friday, you probably get this one. Collingwood Magpies taking on the Carlton Blues. Collingwood tied last week against Essendon. They're now 3-3-1. I like this game under 178.5, and I like Collingwood plus the 6.5. GWS and Sydney, also a Friday evening game. This will be 2 6-1 teams. Sydney minus 1.5 at home. I'll take Sydney. And this should be a really good game. 2 teams going into the game 6-1. But the interesting part here is a very low total, 147.5. I like the game over still. Going to be rain and wind there, so keep an eye on that one. Not sure where that's going to that's a battle of Sydney, so obviously check the Sydney weather to see what's happening with the rain and wind there. But I'm still going to go over the 147.5. Both these teams play up tempo. St. Kilda hosting North Melbourne. This will be an interesting one. Probably not. 2-5 St. Kilda against 0-7 North Melbourne. St. Kilda minus 35.5, 174.5 the total. I'll be going with the Saints minus the points and over the 174.5. Saturday's games 5:30 a.m. Geelong Cats, Melbourne Demons. Geelong remains undefeated. They're a half-point favorite on the road at Melbourne. Should be a good one here. I like the game under 164.5, and then I'm going with the better team here, Geelong, slightly better. They should have a pretty healthy team, and I think they will beat the Demons. Essendon and West Coast. Essendon 4-2-1, a little bit of a surprise. West Coast 2-5. That's a surprise too. Nobody expected them to have 2 wins at this point. It'll be Essendon minus 11.5. Total 168.5. We'll be going under the total there and play the Bombers minus the 11.5. Fremantle and Richmond. Fremantle should roll in this game. They're 4-3. They're 10.5 point favorites here. Total 164.5. Don't have a play on that. I'd probably lean. I don't even have a lean. But Freo, the team right there. Hawks and Bulldogs. That's Hawthorn and Western. Western minus 24.5. Total 171.5. Western's lost 3 of 4, so they need this a little bit for their morale. I think they hammer Hawthorn here. Is not very good. Minus 24.5. Take the doggies. Take under 171.5 as well. And then the finale, Sunday morning, Gold Coast and Brisbane. Gold Coast 4-3. Brisbane 2-5. They're a team that expected to be in the top 3 all year. They have just not been able to put it together. Multitude of issues there for the Lions. Their coach might get sacked here before too long. I'm going to go with Gold Coast, catching 12.5 here. That's way too many for a team who's struggling as bad as Brisbane, even if they are at home. Their home fortress is not what it once was, and we'll go over 165.5 in that one. You can check all the plays out, BLS_PRP. That's where you can find everything. Bettor's Last Stand, Pine Room related, whatever you prefer to call it. BLS picks, PRP picks. You choose. We shall deliver. All right, let's get into the Kentucky Derby. Got a 20-horse field right now. We've already had 1 scratch, so we already had the number 9 Encino. And if you listened to the radio the other day, you will have heard me say I liked Encino. So Encino is probably going to be one of my top 3 plays in this race. He was going to be a what I consider to be a pace factor, and he now will not be participating in the race. So that's kind of a bummer. He was trained by Brad Cox, nice young rider named Axel Concepcion. He's going to get his first mount. Well, no longer. So Epic Rod draws in John Ennis, Adam Bashiza, the 21 horse. So he's a new one here. His odds are going to be ridiculously high. I don't think he's completely terrible. And as we learned a couple years ago with Rich Strike, probably should pay attention to the AEs, the also eligibles. You got one other also eligible called Magatu, who's not bad either. Joe Talamo rides that one if he draws in. So if you have one more scratch in the race, then Magatu will come in. If there's more than one more scratch in the race before Saturday, then we will run a horse short. We'll run 19 or 18 or however many it is before they get settled. All right, so let's take you through the field right now and give you thoughts on who's who. All right, you got Dornick. I've heard it said both ways. So Dornick, Luis Saez, Danny Gargan, 20-1 on the inside. He draws the 1 post. Now, I considered this horse quite a bit, but once he drew the post 1, I can't back him. I thought that he looks professional out on the track. I mean, he starts nicely. He saves ground. You know, he listens to the rider very well, which is tough to do. Some of these horses, when you look at them early in their careers, a lot of times they want to fight the rider, they want to kick and be rank and so forth. But Dornick is one that I thought maybe was worth a look, but not anymore. We'll be eliminating him. But we'll tell you this: you got to figure out who's going to be in a pace factor here, the pace factors, and he will be a pace factor. He is going to play a role in the pace of this race. So you cannot completely just discount him off your ticket altogether. Maybe from a betting standpoint, but he will help you unlock other horses that you may want to use or that you feel comfortable putting in the top, middle, or back end of your ticket. So Dornick, a horse to expect to be involved in the pace. He's got to shoot out of that 1, and if he doesn't get trapped, I still think he can probably be in the lead pack. I have him probably laying right in the second tier of horses, maybe 3 on the lead there, and then he coming back along the rail there, maybe in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th position there in the second cluster of horses. Sierra Leone, one of the top horses in this field, 3-1 morning line right now. Probably could be even getting around 7-2 or so. We'll keep an eye on that. But Sierra Leone has an incredibly good closing kick. I'm very impressed with this horse. I don't like playing favorites in this. You probably know that. Not very often. You're going to find me on the favorite in any of these big races. But sometimes you don't have a choice. Sierra Leone will be one that I absolutely will be using on my ticket because he's a closer. He's going to be in the 2-hole. It's not going to matter if he breaks slowly. He's not going to be a horse that's going to be involved with the pace at all. So he's just going to sit back. But his closing kick is incredibly impressive. And he actually beat Dornick out in the Remsen several months ago. So with a similar setup style. Dornick on the lead. Sierra Leone comes running from off the pace, and he takes it down. But Sierra Leone's got to be used on tickets. He's going to, if he can work out a decent trip, he's going to have a shot here. He's not going to be my top choice, but with good connections, Chad Brown, Tyler Gaffalione is a great rider. I feel very confident that Sierra Leone will be a horse that should hit the board, or at least come close to hitting the board if he can work out the right trip. 3-horse, Mystic Dan, Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez Jr. Mystic Dan is just kind of like one of these lull horses. I mean, he doesn't seem to have much of a closing kick. He's probably going to hide in around mid-pack, look to save a little bit of ground. Kenny McPeak occasionally can have you a horse that can blow it up at a big price, but I'm not sure. 20-1's a little short for me for this horse. Probably a non-use for me for Mystic Dan. I'm not saying he's awful, but I think there's just much better that I prefer. Catching Freedom, the 4-horse, kind of a wise guy horse. He's getting a lot of talk right now as being the other closer in this mix, kind of the one, if you're not on Sierra Leone, you're on this one. I've heard a lot of smart horsemen giving me this one out. I'm not so sure. He's going to be one that I'll probably use reluctantly. I'm not going to love him. I'm probably going to have him on my tickets, but I do not like him a ton. Brad Cox, Flavian Pratt. I watched his races, and I don't know. He's going to sit off the leaders. He's going to try to make a center move maybe, and he made a first run in the Risen Star, which was pretty good here. But when you make first run in the Kentucky Derby, you better be good, because if you're not, you're going to get run down by a bunch of more that are charging late. So I always was a little bit leery about the horse that makes first run. Sometimes it has worked, though. But as you saw with Rich Strike a few years ago, it was a horse that made the last run that got it. But pace obviously is going to be a huge factor here. I don't think Catching Freedom will have a huge amount to do with the pace, because you got Sierra Leone, Mystic Dan, and Catching Freedom. Those are all closer horses that we just discussed there. Let's go down to the 5-horse. This horse will have a little bit to say about the pace, and his name is Catalytic. So Catalytic comes in, Safi Joseph Jr. and Jose Ortiz. Great jockey. Trainer who's very good down in Florida, but has never really done anything monstrous other than White Abario in a couple races as a trainer. He breaks sharp. I like the way he breaks, and he's going to be a part of the pace early. He was very green in his first couple of starts. Like, well, I know they wanted to have him forward, and one time he didn't break right, and he was way back, and he shuffled, and he used a lot of energy to get back up there. And I don't know if he kind of panicked or what happened to him. Catalytic's going to be one that I'm going to wait and see. He's only raced 3 times. I don't love that. I'm not a huge Safi Joseph guy, although he could be doping the horses. He had the ones die, so who knows what this horse could be on when he actually runs this race. But this horse is going to be involved in the pace, so we definitely put him in there as a pace factor. I expect him to be right up there with the lead pack, probably 4th, maybe 3rd or 4th, right off of the lead there. Just Steel, the number 6 horse, son of Justify, one of the best horses in the modern era here. Just Steel, Keith Asmussen, the rider. D. Wayne Lucas is the legendary trainer. This horse has raced 11 times, which is a lot. He's going to be a part of the early pace as well. Probably not going to be in the front, but he's going to push a little bit. It's got some decent numbers on the mud if it rains, and it's a potential that it could rain. So he'll sit off the leaders. I don't think he was overly quick from the gate, but he doesn't really need to be. He just kind of naturally goes up there. He'll be right off the lead. He'll be up forward, but not super forward. But he's just I think he's going to like the distance. I thought some of my notes say I think he's going to be better going long, so that could be a factor. But he's raced 11 times, so he's going to have some experience at these. Some of these horses have only raced 3 times. One of them 2 times. So Just Steel is going to be one that I'm probably going to use him underneath. I think he could run well enough late to be a little bit of a factor here. So he would be one that I would put on if you're going to use supers and trifectas. I would put the number 6 Just Steel in that mix. Honor Marie, the 7 horse. This is for Whitworth Beckman and Ben Curtis. A couple of new connections there. You don't see them very often on the Kentucky Derby Trail. This horse, if Catching Freedom is not the Wise Guy horse, this one is. Everybody I hear touting this horse time and time again. I'm not really sure if he's really that good. He kind of looks like a plotter to me, and I don't know. I'm a little dubious of him. I'm not quite sure that he's the horse that everybody's talking about. But he ran well in the Louisiana Derby, had a second there to Catching Freedom, so people are kind of getting on him for that. But I need to see a little bit more. I think that he's going to be a closer that I would have to use reluctantly just because so many sharp people are saying to use Honor Marie, but not going to be one of my top choices. We'll kind of take a wait and see on him. I'm just not sold. But I guess one thing you can't discount here is these no-name connections making a big splash, in the recent times of the Kentucky Derby. So we shall see how Honor Marie comes out of it. I'm not a believer quite yet. All right, Just a Touch. This is another intriguing one. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux. This will be another horse that it will be a part of the early pace here. He's going to sit right up on the front, but I don't know. He's another one. I'm not certain that I'm just not certain that he's going to be able to contend in this race. He's kind of slow to me. He's only raced 3 times. He kind of looks like he just plods along in the lane. Could improve, though. I mean, he had a couple Brad Cox last year that I liked, and they just were a little too green still. So worries me a little bit with 3 starts. He will be a part of the pace, so I will probably be passing on Just a Touch. If I do use him, it would be in try and supers just as a cover. 2 TO Password, so as in 2 TO Password. He is a Japanese horse, comes into the race off of just 2 starts, which is very, very odd. Actually, we skipped the 9-horse Encina, who scratched. I told you that earlier. TO Password is the 10. He's going to go. He's going to go flying out of there, similar to something Thunder last year from Japan. It flew up in the lead and just blistered. TO Password is going to go. He's only started 2 times. Don't know enough about him. I watched him run his last race. I mean, he struggled to hang on to the line. So I don't think he can get the distance here. I don't think he really has anything to do except be a huge part of the pace. So can't completely dismiss him. You need to know that he's going to be a runner in this race who's going to set some good fractions early on. Forever Young, this is a horse that is probably going to be my top pick. I haven't narrowed it down exactly yet, but I'm leaning towards him. He is the horse from Japan. I've been on him the entire lead-up season. He won the UAE Derby. He won the Saudi Arabia Derby. Seems to not like the kickback, they're saying. They like to run him out wide. I'm not certain that that's the case. I think he's proven that he can do both. He ran down Bookham Dano, ridden by Irad Ortiz at the Saudi Arabia Cup. He got him right at the wire. A credible late charge. Took him a while to get going, though. So the slow grind out, though, sometimes that worked in the Derby, though, because when you start your run, top of the stretch or really in the turn. The only thing that concerns me about both these Japanese horses is the not having North American jockeys. Although I will say TO Password, Daisuke Taganaga, he actually does run a little bit of Woodbine, so I think he'll be a little bit more suitable to the North American style. This is going to be really important for Forever Young to get a decent trip. I think he can break. If he breaks well, he should be right outside the lead pack, maybe like 7th, 8th place, or right on the outside. If he can tuck in like 2 or 3 paces off the rail or 2 or 3 paths, then I think he's safe enough that he could definitely do some damage. If he gets out, jockey needs to get him out away from the kickback. I think it's a good spot for him. So I like the 11 hole for him. Track Phantom, the 12, major part of the speed here. Distance is going to be a serious concern here. Love the connections. Steve Asmussen, Joel Rosario. Joel Rosario is as good as it gets. But this horse is really only going to be able to be part of the pace. I just don't see any way that he can get the stamina to be able to finish this off. He's just not quite. I just don't think he's built for this. He's got some decent pedigree for stamina, but so far it hasn't shown. So we'll be passing on Track Phantom. He would be one that I would say is only a pace factor and probably won't use him on any tickets. West Saratoga, another one, pace factor, son of Exaggerator. He is trained, or he's ridden by, I think, Jorge Castanon, sorry. Larry Demerite, I don't know him at all. He's a pretty much unknown trainer, small circuit trainer. This horse just doesn't have anything that to me is worth looking at here. He's not going to be really anything other than a pace factor here. Just got leg weary in his last race, I noticed. Just not really anything to write home about. He ran in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, so that's a synthetic race, kind of easier path to get here. So I'll be passing on West Saratoga, but he will be involved with the pace as well. Endlessly, the 14. He is let's see, Michael McCarthy, sorry. Umberto Rispoli, interesting choice of rider here for Endlessly. He's only ever ridden on synthetic and grass, and that's where Rispoli's very good at. I don't like Rispoli on dirt, so I'll be eliminating him immediately. Just don't love that. Don't know why he's here. McCarthy even made comments about not sure why he's here either. The ownership group wanted to bring him. Domestic Product also getting a little buzz out there. He is the 15-horse Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz. You're going to get Irad Ortiz at 30-1 in the morning line. That won't be the price come closing time, I would say. Now, this one is the interesting one to me. I liked him, but I'm just a little bit worried about the distance here for him. His father, Practical Joke, was a really good one-turn horse. And, you know, one-turn horses don't win the Kentucky Derby. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to stretch out and be live here, but he does have a business-likeness to him. So I think his connections are good. I wouldn't completely eliminate. I'll be using him underneath. Grand Mo the First, son of Uncle Mo, Emisel Jaramillo, and Victor Barbosa, the combination there. Going to pass on this horse. Don't really like a whole lot from him. It just nothing he did really stood out to me. He won the Tampa Bay Derby, which is not a great prep race. Second at the Holy Bull to a suspicious field. And this is only his... Or I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong... No, he was the Florida Derby. He ran poorly in the Florida Derby. He was third in the Tampa Bay Derby. So... just not going to be good enough to be able to beat Fierceness, Domestic Product, some of these other ones. I don't like it. He'll be a throwout for me. The 16 Grand Mo the First. Fierceness, the 17. He is the favorite right now, and rightfully so. He's the most talented horse in the field. The only thing I'll say about him is he hasn't ran back-to-back good races yet, and he's coming off of a good race there. He ran a very good Florida Derby, but he has had weird situations where a couple times when he's got bumped at the start or like just any type of physicality at the beginning, he ran a 7th, 20 lengths beaten by Timberlake way back in the Champaign. That's not a good sign. And then this 2 races ago, he ran a very distant third behind Domestic Product and Hades in the Holy Bull. I didn't like that race. He looked like he shied away from contact and looked a little afraid. Fierceness, if he gets a great trip and clean and easy, which is hard to do in this, he'll probably win. Got to use him on the ticket, but I don't love him, and I think he's a beatable favorite, and he's going to be forward. So he could, if he doesn't break well, he could get into trouble. If he's got to rush up to the leaders, he could be in trouble. So Fierceness, one that I definitely will use defensively, so I'm going to be using him on the ticket. Don't get me wrong, the 17, that is, and he is the favorite. But he's not going to be my top choice by any means. Stronghold, the 18, Ghost Zapper, is his father, Phil D'Amato, and a young apprentice rider named Ariel Frizu. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people talking about Stronghold. He's got decent early speed figures. But, man, I went through these races of his. He's California's representative, and he's running in fields of 5 and 6 and 4 horses. He's just never faced anything like this. This is just a major step up. I don't think he's raced enough against good enough horses. The fields are small out there right now. He, to me, is a throwout. But tread lightly because a lot of people are tipping him as being a factor. Here's a horse that I really like, Resilience. Belmont Jr. Alvarado. I wish Johnny Velasquez was on him, but Johnny Velasquez moved over to Fierceness, the favorite, and who can blame him for that? I think Resilience is a very dangerous player in here. He settles in really well. He go right off the leaders. I like his outside post draw. He's got a really impressive sweepingness to his move, quick turn of foot. I think he's a definite factor here. So Resilience will be up near the top of my ticket. The 19 Resilience for Belmont. Don't leave him off your tickets. Society Man, the 20, Danny Gargan, and Frankie Dettori comes in looking to get his first ever Kentucky Derby win, internationally renowned rider. So keep an eye on that. He's a really, really good rider. Society Man intrigues me a touch. I'm not sure he's good enough to be able to win this. He was impressive in the Wood Memorial. He had a strong second to Resilience, who we just talked about. So, I mean, I don't hate him. I think he's probably one I'm going to use defensively on my ticket. Not sure he's quite ready for that, but I like the rider, and I like Danny Gargan, and I think that maybe, just maybe, this horse can hang around and maybe pick up a little bit of the pieces. Epic Ride is the one that drew in when Encino scratched. He comes in, as I said, Adam Bashiza on board. Getting a lot of talk. He's going to be up near the leaders. He's got to break pretty well. He's on a 21 hole if he wants to get up forward where he likes to be. If not, he's going to carry 6, 7, 8 pass wide. So he's going to have to come out there, use some speed early. You got some inexperience here with the rider, the trainer. I don't know. I think he'll be a part of the pace. I don't love him, but people are telling me that he's worth a look on the ticket. So anyway, in recapping, there's a lot of discrepancy here about the pace. A lot of people say this is going to be a fast pace. A lot of people say it's going to be a slow pace. I don't think it's going to be slow. I think most likely the Japanese horse is going to go. I had a total of 5 horses breaking very hard, maybe a 6th, and I think the pace will be very honest. I think they'll run somewhere in the high 46s. I don't want to see 47s because I'm going to be probably leaning towards some of these closers. So you got to check out the fractions. You'll know very early on what kind of horses are going to have a shot. If Fierceness is going to be able to sit right off and make the first move and just win for fun, that means they'll be going slow. But if they're going really, really fast and you start seeing 46 or less than 46 seconds, that would be incredible. But anything less than 47 is going to be a pretty good tempo. And then you're going to be starting to see horses like Sierra Leone getting into the mix and some of the other closers. Society Man, I think, is one of those ones that I think could be a potential domestic products, getting a lot of talk, but I'm not sure he could get the distance. Catching Freedom is the hot horse. Forever Young to me is going to be very similar to Fierceness. He's going to have a similar trip. He's inside of him. He should get a little bit better position if he can push Fierceness out a little bit more. I think it could come down to those two in the stretch. So I'll be using, if you're going to ask me right now, again, I'll post these on BLS_PRP, my full superfectas and my multi-race wagers and all that kind of stuff. If I was going to have to box them up right now for the race, I would go with these ones. I would go with Forever Young on top, Resilience number 2, Sierra Leone number 3, and Fierceness number 4. That would be how I would go with them as of right now. But I can still change my mind. See what happens with the track. If it rains, all bets are off. You got to reevaluate. I have a lot of rain notes here, but I don't have time to go through them all. If you have any questions, call the radio show on Friday. PRP on the Watchdog. We're on 12 to 3. Be happy to talk anything horse racing related. So, or shoot us an email, drop us a note on X, BLS_PRP. But best of luck in the Derby. And again, check those out on Twitter and X, and we'll give you the whole rundown of what we have, what our final plays will be. We're going to take a break here. Bettor's Last Stand show number 85. Be back with Sam the Man talking some racing, baseball, playoffs, all kinds of other stuff. Be right back on Bettor's Last Stand show 85.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, greetings. Welcome back in. Bettor's Last Stand show number 85. Joined now by Sam the Man. We talked briefly as we came in. Pirates, just a mess. Trailing in Oakland again, 3-0. Sam, we'll start with that, the misery of the day. MLB, Pirates, they may have won one game since the last time you and I spoke. It's at least on the show. but it's been an ugly week for them. I knew they were starting to leak oil a little bit, but this has been as bad as it gets. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, whew. They've been bad my whole life. I've known this, but there's something about these past 2 seasons that have just been gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
I don't know if O'Neal Cruz also broke a part of his brain, too, when he broke his leg. But, his base running, Matt, it is, kindergarten level base running.
Yep.
I keep seeing these articles that Ben Cherington's philosophy from these players from the minors up into the pros is – have the pitchers throw as many pitches as they can without swinging. So, that sounds like it's just a made up. It sounds like somebody that's never played or managed baseball ever just made this thing up. But it's just he needs to go, Shelton needs to go, the owner needs to go. He won't go. I just cannot believe. But there's a chance that they could have 3 good pitchers. What happens to those guys? It's comedy. I love it. It's Bucko baseball, man. Great to be. grateful to be a fan.
I mean, Pete, we saw a little bit of a fall off here, but this has been a drastic plunge. And the guys look, when they're walking up to the plate, it looks like every guy looks like he knows he's going to either strike out or not do anything. I don't know. It's almost like Shelty's lost the clubhouse already, if you can believe that.
I actually think that they might lose a series to the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, anything's possible because right now it's hard pressed to find a worse team right now who's playing worse. I mean, at least Colorado's scoring a few runs, even though White Sox just swept somebody. Like they're showing signs of life. This Pirate outfit, man, wow. I don't know where you go from here. And is it going to be? Are we going to get the call that Skeens is coming up this weekend if they lose again today?
I think that I saw that he's going to get one more start in AAA just to be safe. Make sure his arm's loose. Make sure, and then he's going to get the next start. If I was him, I'd say, you know what? I think I want to be an Indian the rest of the year. I'd just say, keep me down here, man. Let's win this championship down here because I even thought I should get tickets and go. Am I going to miss out on something historic? And then I think of Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole was our guy. Same thing. He's a Yankee. Skeens will be a Yankee. He'll be a Met. He'll be a Dodger, a Padre. Right. He'll be something else.
No, you're right. You're exactly right. It's very discouraging for Pirate fans. It really is. I don't know. I do. It's like you feel bad almost because you see everybody getting their hopes up, and it's like you guys know where this is going. You know where this is going to end up.
We're in last place, Matt.
Yeah.
They're they're in last place.
And that's falling behind a Cardinal team who's not been breaking any records either. But schedule's not going to get any easier. I mean, no games are easy for a team that's playing this poorly.
No, I mean, this is the prime example. We can't beat Oakland, and Oakland's closer. They have one of the best closers in baseball. He should be.
Kid, yeah. Yeah, how about that?
There's 100. He hit 103.7 on the radar.
Yeah,
struck out the side last night. It's like, dude, this is just we have no chance against this guy if we get to that point.
Yeah, and it's not looking.
I just don't know.
Right
I don't
now.
know what to do.
But all right, on to the more positive things. Well, maybe not. We'll start with the open wheel guys here. Recapping the Indy race last week, Scott McLaughlin gets the win at Birmingham. I watched a little bit of this race, and he was much the best. He led 58 laps. You had a couple other guys in here. Ferrucci ran okay. Alex Palou was all right. He was a pick that I had. You did pretty well with some of your guys. Graham Rahal was 11th. Armstrong was 9th. Will Power ran 2nd. What were your thoughts of the Indy guys at Birmingham?
I thought it was a good race. Every time I turn IndyCar on, there is something competitive going on. And I don't know if it's the announcers too that really help it, but there really are always cars close fighting for something. And that always makes it interesting to me. But I've been texting you about it a couple times, this push to pass thing and these excuses that it's so odd to me that Roger Penske's on this board that got in trouble, but he's the owner of the team, that all of their drivers had this thing that all the other cars didn't. Yeah. I just think they lied about it. I think Newgarden's a liar. I start to question everything that they've won in these last couple of years because they got caught.
Yeah, here we go. With integrity issues in sports. Imagine that. The guy who owns the team also runs the circuit. Yeah, that's not going to turn out bad. That's disappointing to hear. Hopefully they get a handle on this and nothing else comes of it. But maybe it's ironic that they got back in victory lane. They were very motivated this week, the Penske guys, to run 1-2. But geez, I don't know. You hate to have a cloud of suspicion out there, especially heading to Indy now as we get ready to spend the month of May in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the road course and the super speedway, of course. I don't know. The race was pretty good from what I saw, and you got a lot of guys. You got a lot of cars that are contenders. But I will say this: I'm done with Rinus VeeKay. It's over. I can't do him anymore.
I know. I was so hopeful when I saw how well he was doing in the practicing and the qualifying, and then it's just, man, once it comes down to crunch time and there's other cars out there that really compete, it's like he's been shit in the bed, man.
Well, one thing that's an absolute constant in this, about as much as Max Verstappen in F1, is Stingray Robb crashed again. What a surprise!
What are the odds? What are the odds?
Yeah,
I mean,
old Stingray. He'll be my first to retire bet for the Indy 500.
Yeah. Load that up, baby. Load it up, Matt. That's your guarantee for sure.
Yes, it could be. Even Jimmy Johnson will last longer if he was out there.
We'll get to that. We'll get to him.
There's another guy out there just on the Darrell Waltrip victory tour, just living off championships from 40 years ago. All right, let's stay with the open wheel guys. Obviously, as we said, the Indy guys will be going. They're off this week. Then they head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the entire month of May. We'll talk plenty about the 500 in the coming weeks and the road course race coming up in a couple of weeks. Max Verstappen is the favorite. Surprise, surprise, as we head to the, I don't know if it's named for cryptocurrency this year, but last year was Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix. We'll see if it still is. The Red Bull guys ran 1-2 as expected. Verstappen led 36 laps. He shared the wealth a little bit, though, because Sergio Perez had a good car. He led 21. I don't know. Again, it's cool for our country to be getting this, and I've been down there where they set this track up right there by the stadium, and I love it down there. It's really cool. But man, I can't justify shelling out a lot of money to go down and see this until the racing's more competitive. I know that's petty, but me and you aren't zillionaires, and we can't afford to go down to things like that if it's going to suck that bad. But
it's not petty, Matt. Like we said, I think it's cool. It's logical. It's like if there's a seat where I could see the whole, if I could watch the race from a fucking helicopter, I would.
Right.
I want to see it all. Like I don't want to just see them zoom by and then watch the TV and then come by again. Like that's why I like the ovals, and the appeal to F1 live to me is very, very odd.
You're right.
Like if I could get inside the paddock or the garage, sign me up. But if I'm sitting watching them go by once and I just hear them, I don't know. There's not a great American driver. The Haas team, they've been all right, but it's going to be the Max and Red Bull and Ferrari show per usual.
Yeah, no, those are great points. It is like road course racing. It's one thing in NASCAR, like Watkins Glen, and these, if you sit in a turn, they actually got to slow down to like 90 in some of those. Like, I know that doesn't seem slow, but it is. These guys don't slow down. Like, this is like they're going like just a very under 200 miles an hour almost the whole time. And yeah, you're gonna like you can't even see them like when they go by you. So I agree. It's not the product that it is on TV as it is in person probably, but I definitely would like to go to one of these someday, but I just got to pick the spot right. I wish I could go to the Monaco Grand Prix, sit on one of those yachts. Now, that's my kind of thing there, but we'll talk about that in the coming weeks. That's coming up here, usually the weekend, I believe, of the 500. So, yeah, Max Verstappen, obviously the guy to beat here. He's a monstrous favorite. Sergio Perez, second choice. I don't know. I guess my Red Bull double podium looks pretty strong here. What if any other team do you see being able to contend here? The McLarens didn't run very well here last time.
No.
Ferrari was decent. Mercedes was decent. Man, the McLarens are really bad. They're actually worse than I remember.
They were Martin was towards the bottom.
Was okay. What other team do you see having a shot here, and what else do you like, if anything?
The things I like Albon top 10. I can't believe I'm saying this. And Ocon top 10 as well. He's ran pretty well here. I do not like Pierre Gasly. I don't ever hear his name. And also, I think Hülkenberg can get into the top 10. I think he's been the stronger driver out of the Haas team. And he has nothing to lose because he's done after this year. So he can keep fucking crashing the car and wasting all their money because he's going to race for another team that's just, I don't even know how to describe them, Matt. They just show up. Participation team.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of that in this, unfortunately. And here's the big question is, how many drivers lead laps in this race? Is it one?
I would say,
is it two?
I think
maybe two.
I'm going to go two.
Maybe
I was almost going to say three, but three sounds crazy. Three seems unreasonable.
Yeah. Over 2.5 would be a nice plus price probably. I don't know. Can George Russell, can he contend at all? Probably not. What about either one of the Ferrari guys?
I think, honestly, the top four is just going to be two Red Bulls, two Ferraris, and then I think it's just going to be the McLaren, Aston Martin, Mercedes
Whoever
mixing that.
doesn't have a mechanical failure of some sort.
Right.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Sergio Perez can keep this close enough. Like he only beat him by 5.3 seconds last year. So that's a pretty close race by these standards. So
I know. I don't know if this is the one that you're like, you really pick this race to be like, if anyone's going to beat Max, it's going to be his teammate, because they've raced here twice, like you said, and they've been very close finishes both time. Very close in quotations for Max Verstappen winning.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Probably go with the double Red Bulls and the usual. On to the stock car boys here as we head to Kansas. This is the 12th race of the season. Finished up last week at Dover. Denny Hamlin does it again. This dude is just a beast right now. He's like the new version of Jimmy Johnson, but with like an edge. And he's doing a lot of good for racing. I'll say that. I know he's starting to develop some hatred out there too, which is a good thing for the sport. I respect the hell out of him. He's done a good job. Gets the Toyota in victory lane, leads 136 laps. He was really, really good. The winner of the Worth 400. Larson tried tracking him down. He did everything he could. He drove the wheels off the thing. Thought he had a solid car, which we knew was going to happen. Those Hendrick cars at Dover have been just spot on. And they were very good again, except William Byron got caught in a crash. Martin Truex, strong showing. Kyle Busch starting to get a little momentum now.
I know.
And then you nailed it. Noah Gragson, great call. We both were on Alex Bowman. He was a top 10. Ty Gibbs with a top 10. So pretty decent performance. But, man, Denny keeps knocking us out of victory lane.
I know. Denny's been on fire for, since probably honestly the beginning of last year. He talks the talk. He's been walking the walk. His team always has his car ready, and I think he's just really in that next level of his career where he understands these tracks in and out. He knows this car maybe better because he's an owner. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But one thing that stood out to me is this Daniel Hemrick top 10. Every time I look at that, I think, damn, man, Daniel Hemrick popped up in there in the Poppy Bank. That's a thing of beauty, man. I love seeing a name like that up there.
It is. You get some new blood up in the top 10, which is good to see. And back to Denny though. If he's not winning it, he's winning as an owner the week before.
I know.
Really good times there if you're in the Toyota camp, and the pressure is going to continue to get to Bubba Wallace there, because if Reddick keeps winning and Denny keeps contending and winning, and all the other, they got a good quality group of Toyota drivers all together. But with 2311, if Reddick starts to separate himself, old Bubba's going to be, I don't know, he may be looking for another job eventually. But Denny Hamlin, top of the sport right now. I could have really used Truex to be able to pull that off, but what are you going to do? Could have been a lot worse. We had some good ones there, and as you said, Daniel Hemrick contended well. Was there anybody that stuck out? But again, Chris Bell, another mistake for him. He's a very frustrating driver because he's extremely talented. We see that very often, but it's just a lot of mistakes from him. It's strange to see. What were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's just, like we say, he is just the guy that stands out on that team. With all you've given with that big sponsor on that team, you just should be running better. You should just be up in the top 15. I don't think that's too hard to ask when Cindric's up there, Allmendinger's up there, Gibbs, right. Hemrick,
Yeah, no.
That was good, man. He can race.
Yeah, he's got to get more consistent. He has to. Thoughts on Corey Heim, who had to come in for Eric Jones? He actually did all right. It was probably a really good learning experience for a guy like that. It's got to be tough jumping into that car like that.
Yeah, that's tough, and it's just so odd that they do the infield care thing when Jones is hurt. He's like, "Oh, my back's a little sore." A couple of days later, it's like, "Oh yeah, you have a compression fracture, brother. You can't race for like 3." Right. It's just it's crazy to me that he's just sitting there talking, but he has a compression fracture. And I think that for just getting thrown into the car and having to be ready like that, you can't be too upset about.
No, I think that's just a good learning experience for the guy, and hopefully he continues to learn and probably has a chance at a ride someday. My disappointment of the week, though, was through I guess not really a fault of his own, but man, he had a pretty good car, and I thought he was going to get a top 10. As Ricky Stenhouse gets collected in that mess, and I thought we were spot on. I feel like saying he was a top 10 car, because I really do feel like he was.
Yeah, I do too. He was racing well, and I also think that that's going to carry over into this week. I really, really do. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm loving Stenhouse in the top 10 in this week. I'm just going to throw that out there immediately.
Right,
I'm
good.
loving. I love. For some reason, Stenhouse has some of the best cars. He's got some of the best sponsors.
does.
Those Kroger sponsors are great.
Yeah, he's had a lot of interesting sponsors in the past, and yeah, let's just hope he doesn't carry over the crashing this week.
Oh, I know.
I don't want
Totally
that,
possible.
but
Totally
yeah,
possible.
He had with the Hungry Jack pancakes last week.
Yeah, buddy. I love that.
I love that. That's good stuff. All right, so on we go to Kansas. Man, imagine this. This is just like talking about Max Verstappen, but not quite. Denny Hamlin, of course, he won this race last year. He finished second in the fall race last year. The dude led 63 laps in the fall and 34 laps in the spring last year at Kansas. So Kansas, 1.5 mile speedway, not a lot of banking. This is another speedway to me in my mind. The only people that ever lead at Kansas, in my mind, I know that's not right, but are either Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, or a Hendrick car. Like, it's the only guys in my mind when I think back to a Kansas race that I ever remember being out in front. Tyler Reddick did win last year at the fall race for 23-11, so that one I didn't even remember that. Eric Jones has run well here in the past, but I'm not sure he's out of action again. Bubba Wallace has run well here in the past. Sam, you tipped a little bit about some of your longer shots there with Ricky Stenhouse. Where did you come down to on the top drivers? Is Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin kind of the co-favorites so far?
Yeah, I like them. There's something about Bowman again. I can't just keep turning my eye to Bowman. I think he's been way more consistent than he has these last couple years. I know he was hurt last year. Maybe he was just really just trying to fight through that, but he's definitely, I would say, he's secured his, not that he was going to lose it, but if it was like last year, he definitely would have been on the bubble, but he's definitely been solid. I love Reddick again. I think he is a damn good driver.
He is.
And I think Michael Jordan loves a driver like that because he's a feisty little bastard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely. No, I'm with you.
Do you like Elliott?
I do.
Do you think Elliott gets it done?
So
I think it's totally
my top
possible.
two choices, like obviously Hamlin and Larson are going to be serious contenders here, but I'm not betting Denny to go back to back, even though he's very capable. Too low of a price there, 4-1. Larson a little bit south of that. I'm with you on the Bowman. I recall another thing that I do recall about Kansas, a night race a few years ago. Bowman actually dominated the race. He ended up not winning. I think he had a tire go down late or something, but he led a ton of laps. So I know he's comfortable with this track. He's definitely going to be a used for me at 18-1. So I was down to 3 guys as my lower price guys. I think Martin Truex is sitting on another big performance. He's been running well. I like his chances here around 6.5, 7-1. And then Chase Elliott was my second guy around 9 or 10-1. And then a little bit more distant, but not quite a long shot. I've been happy with the way he's been trending a little bit. Is Ross Chastain. I like the momentum that he's starting to get. What do you think of those 3 guys?
I love it. My 3 that I've been struggling to pick from is Bowman, Chastain, and Reddick. But 4 Toyotas, the last 4 races, a Toyota has won. And for some reason, I'm sticking with my guns, and I think I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick.
Okay. Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, his number's not great. Like, I would rather go with the Chastain number or even the Bowman number, but I just think Reddick is something about when Michael Jordan's there.
Yeah,
you just get that little reassurance of like, hey, I just won in front of you. I'm your driver. Like, little boost of confidence. And I really do think that carries a long way.
Yeah, I mean, Reddick, a win and a top 10 in his last 2 there. When MJ's in the house, I'm sure that's quite motivating. Not that you need a whole lot more motivation, but just having him there, the greatest ever, that definitely makes you elevate your game. Nothing wrong with the selection of Tyler Reddick there. I think he'll be a certain contender. Let me ask you about a guy who, not that he's been racing bad, but he hasn't had maybe the racing luck that he had earlier in the season, and especially last year's William Byron. I thought he was interesting at around 7-1 as a car that maybe could contend here. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I don't know if he's just sort of in like cruise control. Just, I've got the wins. I'm pretty much locked in because I don't think we're getting too many different winners this year. We'll definitely get a couple more, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's just like, hey, William, we're just gonna not that you're not gonna go for it, but if you don't, or you're sort of no reason to crash the car or do anything like that crazy.
Right. All right. So your top pick was Reddick. I'm going with Truex with basically Elliott as a 1B option, Chastain as a 1C. All right, so I've struggled to find any other than Bowman at 18-1. I've struggled to find. I considered Stenhouse, but I struggled to find a lot of value on guys from a long shot perspective. But I did come back to a guy who won here 3 times, but my God, they've been so bad. The Fords can Joey Logano continue to be drifting up to almost 30-1? Like I just feel like I might take a stab with Joey this week for at least the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, he won, I think, in what I'm looking at here, 2020 and then 2015, 2014. So he can get done, but I don't know if it's like a car thing,
right?
Which I don't think it is because he's driven well in it before. There's just something weird that's going on with these Fords.
Yeah, there is. And for a while last week, I thought that Ryan Blaney had a contending car, but then it was like, geez, him and Gragson were a cut below the Chevys and the Toyotas even. Like they were driving their wheels off and they couldn't really make any headway. So that's a definite problem because other than those two guys being in the top 10 last week, then you have a giant drop down to the next Ford. It's like in the middle of the field almost. So they definitely got some concerning things going on there in that camp. So I guess I'll keep an eye on and see how they qualify, seeing the track position that they can get. But man, Joey Logano at like 30-1 is just silly, and it's I don't know, maybe it continues.
I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. Another name I was looking at, I was going to ask you, was Chris Buescher. Do you think Buescher could sneak up into the top 10?
I liked Buescher last week. I thought he had a decent run, but he also was a guy that, like, to me, it seems like he's driving well enough to be kind of in the mix, but he's not contending like he was at the tail end of last year. I'm not certain if it's just the way that the tracks are falling, or it really takes this team that long to get their momentum going. Because if you remember, the RFK guys really heated up at the end of the year, like that last third of the season. It took them a while to get going. Yeah, I don't hate him. I mean, I think could be a top 10 car here. He's run some decent laps, had some decent driver ratings at the track. So I'm curious to see how he and Brad Keselowski will do this week, because Brad wasn't as sharp as I expected him to be. He was good at Talladega. Obviously, he's great there. Wasn't very good last week. So I wonder if they can pick it up a little bit. But again, they're fighting the battle that we just talked about with Logano and these guys. Is their car solid enough to be able to contend?
And the thing is, it sure doesn't. There hasn't been one sign of me really being like, all right, they could probably start to contend here. They haven't.
Talladega, right?
Right. If they do Talladega every week, they're in it, baby.
Right. Yeah, so that's not a good sign. Ford's got to get it figured out. So any other long shots anybody else are keeping an eye on?
I can't even believe I'm saying this guy's name. Austin Cindric. I think he could sneak up in the top 10. If something goes awry, I think Cindric could sneak up there. And Kevin Harvick has ran well there. So Josh Berry being in his car, I don't know, but it's a Ford. So
I do like Josh Berry though. I think he's learning a lot. I expect the second half of the season, when we come back to some of these tracks for a second time, I think he's going to really have a little bit of an uptick. And you can tell, like, even guys like Gragson, they've like learned so much from their previous thought. I mean, it's really obvious. But I think Cindric has. How about this bet? You could probably find a pretty good price here, and they have these on almost every betting app or place you go. How about Austin Cindric, top finishing Ford?
I don't hate that at all. Yeah. I really don't, man. I really don't, because they've been such a just gamble. You're better off playing the lottery right now than betting on a Ford to really win it. And Cindric, just do it. You got a couple bucks, give it to Cindric.
Crazy stuff. All right, before we let you go, any thoughts on NBA or NHL playoffs?
Anthony Edwards is awesome. Yeah. I love that he just will. I don't know. He just seems to have a mentality that is very, very rare.
Yeah.
And he definitely means the stuff that, like, he says, and he backs it up. Man, I don't want the Knicks to blow it.
Oh boy.
I've been reading
last night. For missed free throw. The 3-pointer surrendered there. Oh my. Maxey was incredible though. So
I need my Clippers to keep on clipping, baby. I mean, James Harden in that fourth quarter, he just kept running. He just kept going right into the lane and floater.
I don't often compliment these guys, but I did see a little bit of that, and I did see those tough shots he made when they needed it, because that Dallas crowd was rocking. I will say that.
Yeah, that was an awesome fourth quarter. I don't know if they beat the Thunder. I don't know if the Thunder are too young and just too quick and just have more energy.
Yeah, be a good one if they get there.
I do absolutely love. I told you this about the Suns. They are such a shit show.
Yeah, KD
It's
will
just
be
like,
gone.
yeah, but like you can't just give money to players that haven't done anything.
No,
Booker
Bradley
hasn't done
Beal,
anything.
when's he ever played
Nothing.
in a game that mattered?
He's like the Washington Wizards' best player ever. That's cool.
Give me a break. Yeah, bring
Yeah,
back
seriously.
Gilbert Arenas and his Glock.
Yeah, you might as well. Or Martin Gortat or whatever his name is.
George Murison.
Yeah.
All right. Anything on the NHL that stuck out to you? The Leafs are they're almost in cardiac arrest, but they got a little bit of a pulse.
What is going on with the Nashville Predators, Matt?
Well, the game Sunday was disgusting. They blew that so badly. I really think they've outplayed Vancouver in this series. They probably should have won. Should have won game one. They definitely should have won Sunday, and then they cheat death last night.
I couldn't believe I saw them score that goal.
No, I know. And you called it straight on the Islanders. They're garbage. The Caps are garbage. That would have been the Penguins, so at least we didn't waste our time with that.
I know.
But right now, if you have to pick a winner, I'll tell you, Colorado's picked it back up. Their goaltending stabilized, and they're proving that they're not done yet. Who's your team right now in the East that looks the best and the West?
I'm going in the East. I'm going with the local guy, Vince Trocheck and the Rangers.
Okay.
I just something about them, and like I said, they've been knocking on that door. I just think they're solid. And in the West, I think it's probably Colorado.
Yeah.
They're pretty fucking good, man.
Yeah, I right now, I a few weeks ago I didn't know if they had anything, but man, they do. They definitely do. So we'll see what happens if Edmonton finishes off their series. But the Eastern Conference is going to be really interesting between Washington, Carolina, and Florida. All three of those teams, or not Washington, New York, Carolina, and Florida. They're all three of those serious contenders. I don't think whoever wins Boston or Toronto has a chance against any of those three teams.
No, I'm with you 100%, and I can't believe the Leafs are still alive
for one more day at least.
For one more day,
they're better. They're better on the road. They've won 2 games on the road. There's no question that the pressure gets to them at home, and I understand that, I guess, but crazy.
I do too, but it's just like, how do you score 69 regular season goals and you just, I don't know. They say he's sick, this and that. I get it.
Score when you're not in the lineup. I mean, my God. Can you imagine what it would take to keep you out of the lineup of a playoff game? I mean, I'd have to have a lost a limb to be able to.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd have to be like fucking decapitated or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Sam, thanks as always for the wonderful insight. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see you back here next week. Kentucky Derby this week. Any thoughts on that?
I'm laughing right now because it's the bottom of the 8th. The Pirates are down 3-0, and David Bednar's pitching. That's never a good sign.
No, it is not. All right, buddy. Well, thanks for everything, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, man. Go Bucks.
All right, go Bucks. All right, that'll do it for us here on Bettor's Last Stand, show number 85. We'll be back here next week. Check us out all over the internet at the Pine Room Studios, YouTube, and then all the places you listen to your podcasts. You can follow us on social media at the Pine Room Studios as well. Beer Mile on Saturday. Check that out. Waterfront Fest, waterfronthall.com. And again, thanks to all of our sponsors, IC Cab and the whole group, Zambito, Flooring America, Four Seasons, Figueretti's, Generations, Gumby's, Jill's Gentlemen's Club, all those wonderful sponsors. We appreciate everything they've done for us. Wheeling Nailers. Playoff hockey starts back up. They're on the road at Toledo this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and back home here Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, the following week at West Bank Arena. Don't want to miss that one. That'll do it for us today. We'll see you on the radio on Friday, watchdognetwork.com, or tune in WKKX 12 to 3. We'll talk more Derby, talk plenty more sports, and anything else is going on in the world at the moment. That'll do it. Show number 85 in the books. We'll see you next week.